Hello, everyone. Cyd Notter here, and I am here today to talk about the Vegan Health Bundle 2024, which is available from March 1st through March 10th, 2024. And that's the only time this bundle is available. And as you know, I've been talking about it in my newsletters. But today I have a special guest that I'd like to introduce you to. I actually met her last year at the National Health Conference in Ohio, and we just kind of crossed paths. But now we're getting to know each other a little better now that we're in the bundle together, and I'm excited about that. Her name is Karen Ranzi, and let me tell you a little bit about her. Karen has been a raw vegan health coach since 1998, and I'm going to skip down to this other paragraph. In 1994, she was able to heal her 3-year-old son from asthma and chronic ear infections and healed herself from severe cystic acne, hormonal imbalances, menstrual pain, and IBS. And I'm sure we'll be talking about that today more with Karen. But she's also an award-winning author, an internationally acclaimed speaker, the founder of the online 100-hour vegan coach certification course, and she's a speech and language pathologist and has been for over 43 years. She's published 3 books and 8 books focused on healthy raw vegan living. So I'm so glad you're here today, Karen. Your contribution to the bundle is about the topic of how you cleared over 25 years of cystic acne in just 3 months.
That's right. And I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. It's the first book really focusing on my story. My other books focus on raising healthy vegan children. Turning around symptoms of autism is my book, Heal and Prevent Autism. And then I have a raw vegan recipe book called Raw Vegan Recipe Fund for Families. But this book really, I've wanted to publish this book for many years and finally gotten around to it. And it's a small, very readable ebook, and now I'm publishing it into a book as well, which has my story about healing cystic acne quickly and efficiently, and the guidelines that I use to do that.
Wow. So did you struggle with acne as a teenager, Karen, or when did, yeah?
Yes, it started when I was an adolescent.
Mm.
I had brain fog growing up. I was on maintenance antibiotics as a child, growing up on the mainstream American diet. And by the time I was an adolescent, my face and my back were completely covered with like cysts. It really was cystic acne.
Mm.
And I went to numerous dermatologists and took many different medications, one of them called Accutane, which I took frequently. I'm not sure about now, but back then it said on the box that if given to a woman while she was pregnant, that it could kill the fetus.
Mm.
Very dangerous drug.
Yeah.
And I took that a number of times, and all it did was dry out my skin. It did not get rid of the cystic acne. And a lot of times when I would take it afterwards, stopping it, the cystic acne would come back with a vengeance.
Oh.
So even if it dried it out a little bit, it did not heal it. And that was the whole thing. It's the medical model doesn't work.
Mhm.
So the drugs that I was taking, I was on prednisone for 6 years for it. That didn't work and caused a number of other issues. So I finally decided at one point to become a vegetarian because my father and my grandmother were vegans, and they were also eating mostly raw food. My grandmother had healed her emphysema, asthma and emphysema in 1921
Mm.
by going to a whole foods, plant-based diet, a total vegan and very high raw food diet before those words even existed.
Mm.
And she was a great role model for me. But my mother believed that we needed animal protein. So
Mhm.
she refused to do what my grandmother did. And there was a lot of arguing in my house. And I still remember that. And that's what later was my inspiration for the changes that I made and brought me in 1989. After years of being a vegetarian and eating a lot of dairy, I went vegetarian when I was just 17 because of my father and my grandmother. And I did it for moral reasons, for
Mhm.
my love of animals. But I
Mhm.
didn't realize how cruel dairy and the dairy industry is. And so I was
Mhm.
basically living on a lot of dairy. And decades later, in 1989, after having children, I wanted to raise healthy kids. And I went vegan in 1989. And wouldn't you know it, 3 months after giving up dairy, my skin was, my acne was gone
Wow.
after all those drugs and all of the doctors telling me that it was genetic. It was not genetic at all. It was primarily dairy.
Were you allergic to dairy, Karen, or was just
It was
yeah.
just a major cause of my cystic acne,
Mhm.
and it,
Mhm.
I'm sure, caused really poor gut health, which was the
Mhm.
resulting IBS, irritable bowel, and our skin, being the largest organ of the body, was trying to expel all of the pollution coming in, all of the toxins coming in, especially from dairy. There were other things as well, including some very toxic medicines and skin treatments and lotions and potions and all those things that I think were affecting my gut and then affecting my skin.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's interesting. So a person doesn't have to be allergic to dairy to suffer all these consequences from dairy. That's for
that's
sure.
right. That's right.
Mhm.
It's really all about gut health. And then the gut health affects all the hormones.
Mhm.
So I really had a blown up issue of hormonal cystic acne. It was
Mm.
really a hormonal issue. And I mean, I've gone on to help many women with their gut and their hormone issues because I clearly saw what happened to me when I had this terrible gut issue. It reflected in my hormones. And
Mm.
and even going through menopause, women who end up with hot flashes and insomnia and the visceral fat around the midline, a
Mhm.
lot of this is due to gut issues affecting the hormones.
Mm. So what kind of comes first, the gut issue, the hormone issue, or do they kind of go hand in hand?
Yeah, I think they go hand in hand
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
But very often when, like when I was growing up following a mainstream diet, like a typical lunch for me would be white bread with ham and cheese and Oreos and milk, potato
Mhm.
chips. My body over time started to react. The body is very intelligent. And that's why it seems like we can deal with those foods. Some people seem to eat them and don't have any problems, but cumulatively, the body can't handle it anymore and gets to like a toleration level. And that's
Mhm.
what happened to me. I got to a toleration level where my system, my gut was not handling it at all. And so
Mm.
because I wasn't digesting well anymore, it led to other problems because I think I had leaky gut. I think
Mhm.
that all those food toxins and undigested proteins were coming in and they were affecting my gut. And then they started circulating.
Mhm.
And the skin being the largest organ, I actually believe now, back then I thought that the skin was a completely separate organ. That's what the dermatologists treated me as. They didn't
Mhm.
treat it like it was part of my whole body. It was a
Mhm.
separate part. But I know now that my body was actually acting well. My body was showing vibrancy because I was able to push these toxins out through my skin.
Mhm.
So I am actually much more concerned when I see people following a mainstream diet loaded with animal food, animals containing all of their own bacteria and their own hormones,
Mhm.
and a body that's not reacting to it. So my body was reacting
Yeah.
very strongly. And
Yes.
so I look at it now in a much different way. I'm actually grateful. I'm
Mhm.
grateful that my system was healthy enough to purge. to purge the toxins that were coming in.
Yeah, I love that, how our bodies are always striving to heal. They'll strive to heal when we give it the right food, it can. So I know that estrogen, like in dairy, I've read that estrogen, like 70% of the hormones that we ingest in the United States is coming from dairy, right? When
Yes.
people are
All
so
the animal
concerned.
foods have
Yeah.
excess estrogen,
Mhm.
and that estrogen is harmful. And as it accumulates, it wreaks havoc. And that's why we see that so many people today have different cancers that come from all this excess estrogen.
Mhm.
So, we see breast cancer and prostate cancer in men is also a result of excess estrogen. And the
Right.
best way to decrease estrogen is to take away those animal foods. They don't
Mhm.
belong to us. Like milk belongs to calves.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
meant to make a calf grow into like an 800 plus pound animal.
Right. I talk about that too in my bone class, from an 80-pound calf to an 800-pound cow in about a year. So it has all those growth hormones in it that are not meant for human consumption.
That's right. We are
And
not meant to be taking in those growth hormones. And when you look at what a mother is giving to her human baby, if she's breastfeeding, breast milk is only 5 to 6% protein,
mhm,
whereas animal milk, like cow milk, is 20% protein.
mhm,
That's way too much protein for a human to digest. Even like some people say to me, well, what about goat milk? That's better, right? Well, even though a goat is a smaller animal, it still has a high protein molecule. It's also
mhm.
about 20% protein. We're not meant to
Yeah.
handle all of this protein. It's way too
No.
much protein for us.
Right. But you know how we are in America, we're just really focused on protein, protein, protein. Even Cheerios are advertised as having protein. I just had to laugh. But yeah, it's
Everything.
mhm,
It's way too much protein. And it's
yeah.
interesting that we're promoting that. It's really the animal industry, the animal
Mhm,
foods industry that is promoting that. And if you look at some of the studies that are done, you can see who's behind them. Like you can
mhm,
see a study done showing that we need the protein of eggs. It's the egg industry that's behind
mhm,
it. So when I'm looking at research, I'm looking for university studies,
mhm,
studies that have been done on hundreds of thousands of people over the long term,
mhm,
longitudinal studies, some of the studies that are shorter term and done on lower numbers of individuals I have looked at. And if they are promoting animal foods, I always am finding that the animal foods industry seems to be behind them.
mhm.
So you have to be careful that you don't take in misinformation, which so many
Right.
people are today.
Yeah. I like the saying, assume that everything you read or hear is false until you look into it, because who said it, first of all, when people say, they say that blank, blank. Well, who's the they? We need to know who is saying something to know if it's actually credible.
Exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. And so even when I go out and do talks, I tell people, don't believe me. You can
Hmm.
hear what I have to say, you can take notes, and then go and do your own research. Because
Absolutely.
you want to find out for yourself what is your truth and what really speaks to you and makes the most sense. Because
Mhm.
early in my life, I listened to a lot of misinformation, made a lot of mistakes, and that's why I ended up with the health challenges that I did. That's why my son had asthma and chronic ear infections as a child.
Mhm.
And
So,
so
how old were your children when you started them eating plant-based or vegan? Were they
my
already?
daughter was
Mm,
2 at the time that we went
mm,
vegan. My son, luckily, I was pregnant with him at the time. And
mhm,
so he was lucky that I had a mostly vegan pregnancy, because I was just phasing into 1980. No, it was, yeah, 1989. And then he was born in 1990. But he was sick very early on, even as a vegan. And we weren't eating healthy as vegans. So you can
Mm,
have a vegan diet and be
yeah.
unhealthy. So he had asthma even as a vegan. And a lot of people said to me, "You're vegan? I can't believe he has asthma."
Mhm,
But he did. And I ate a lot of processed food.
mhm,
So I ate a lot of bread. I ate a lot of flour, white flour pasta, not realizing that that didn't have much in the way of nutrients.
mhm,
And it was highly processed, not very digestible. And I didn't realize it was causing harm not only to myself, but to my kids, and especially to him, and was one of the main reasons for the asthma.
mm,
And so I went to some doctors who wanted to put him on steroids and other medications. And I hit the roof at that point. I was like, I just changed to vegan. I need to do more now. I need to go further. And so I knew it wasn't only about being vegan. You could eat vegan Oreos or vegan chips or vegan Coca-Cola.
mhm,
And I knew that that wasn't healthy, but a lot of my diet was still processed food. Maybe not those really awful processed foods, but still processed.
mhm.
And so when I made the changes and I really went to whole foods and especially fresh, that made a huge difference. And
Wow.
for me, I had the cleansing of my skin. I detoxed over 3 months, and that was crazy when I went to raw vegan. My mouth just, I had a lot of canker sores and my tongue got swollen. I was having a lot of detoxification, headaches and
Wow.
irritability. But then I felt incredible. 3 months later, my skin was so much better. First of all, when I went vegan, just getting off of dairy, even though I ate processed food, my skin healed. So that 3 months, my skin healed, but I still had scarring. And when I went raw vegan, the scars, I had scars on the sides of my face, on my neck. They all, it all went away.
Wow.
And so I knew the benefits that that not only vegan, but eating plentiful amounts of fresh, healthy fruits and vegetables and sprouts,
Mhm,
and nuts without salt,
mhm,
salt-free raw nuts, not roasted. I used to eat a
mhm,
lot of roasted salted nuts before then.
mhm,
And I realized that when I started doing my own research, I realized that when nuts are heated, they're very sensitive to heat, light, and oxygen. They go rancid extremely quickly.
mm,
And when I went
mhm,
to raw nuts, unsalted, not only did I feel better and was not dehydrated anymore, because I used to eat all these salted nuts, it was great for my skin.
mm,
So my skin healed and my son, in a matter of months, the asthma and the chronic ear infections were gone.
mhm,
So much healing. But I did listen, even
mhm,
going raw, I listened to misinformation. There were some things out there like, there were people who were eating almost all fruit. So
mhm,
I tried eating mostly fruit. That was just a total disaster. I needed to bring a lot of vegetables back in. We
mhm,
need the minerals and protein from
mhm,
vegetables. And that
mhm.
was really beneficial for me because you can't live on just fruit.
Wow.
So there were many things I learned along the way that were healing for myself and for my children. But I also made the mistakes of,
Mhm,
listening to people who didn't know. And
yeah.
so it's very important when listening to information that, first of all, you follow people who have been living the lifestyle for many years.
Mhm,
And in addition to that, who have research behind them.
Mhm.
And in addition to that, they look at science and you look at science. So you know what you're actually doing and that you can put together a good action plan and meal plan for yourself that works.
Yeah. Yeah, I've even got an article on my website, 7 tips of how to evaluate what you hear and read, because it's so important that we base our health decisions on credible information. Yeah, and I know some people say, "Well, I don't have time to dig into all of that." Well, there are places that do it pretty reliably, and I talk about those too, but it's crucial because so many people are nutritionally confused today, and it's even sometimes there's differences amongst the plant-based doctors even, that we have to figure out for ourselves what's going to be right for us.
Yes, we definitely do. And I'm seeing a very important growing vegan whole foods community.
Mhm.
Which when I became vegan back in
Mhm.
1989 was on a very low level.
Yeah.
I did connect with some people. I started growing my community here in New Jersey through having potlucks and
Mhm.
parties. And I started with like 2 people, but it grew and grew and grew. And now every year I host my annual Thanksgiving celebration the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
It's like a no turkey celebration, and everybody brings abundant raw vegan food. And we have like the best celebration and gratitude circle celebrating the life of the turkey. And I had 122 people one year.
Mhm.
So it's amazing how this movement is growing. And I'm so thrilled about that because we have to have this growth of this movement in order to thrive on this planet,
Mhm.
not only for our own health, but for the animals and for the whole environment and the planet. And that's why I'm also so grateful to have bundles now. This is, newer, having these wonderful bundles, but I'm really grateful that this bundle was put together by Chef AJ and Lissa Maris.
Mhm.
It's going to be a wonderful bundle of so many recipe ebooks. And the thing is about this bundle that is different from the other bundles is that it's low in fat, no oil. And that's one of the big things. Like I was talking at a veg fest and I was talking about the problems with greasy food. Even as vegans, when people come in, a lot of people leave the vegan diet saying it didn't work for them because they're eating things like lots of oil or lots of
Mhm.
salt. And this man right next to me was selling French fries at the veg fest. And with me talking about it, my audience was almost like laughing. Here I am talking about this, and this man is selling this food that's going to cause health problems.
Mhm.
And so by understanding that it's vegan is important, definitely. We're doing this for many reasons. The moral, the ethical piece is first and foremost, of course. And the saving of the planet and our natural resources is also way up there. But if we want to take care of our health and we want to remain healthy vegans, we must go to whole foods.
Absolutely. Yeah. I
And
was caught in a junk food vegan diet myself many years ago when I made the transition. I was eating a lot of chickpea patty burgers from Morningstar Farms, all the processed stuff. And that really was not doing me any favors. I didn't realize it at the time. But yeah, vegan junk food is definitely not the way to go.
absolutely. Yeah. So I'm so thrilled that we have this bundle and there's some great work in there. And
Yeah.
I know that you have some ebooks in there and one that I'm particularly interested in because I do work with women and I know that this is work that you do as well is on bone health. Um,
Yes, I did a course on bone health with Eileen Kupsaftis. I'm not sure if you know her. She's a physical therapist that has a regular show on Chef AJ. Once a month, she's there. And Probably the most knowledgeable physical therapist I've ever met as far as the body, how the body functions, and how everything's connected to everything. And so when she and I got together and pooled our resources about our bone classes, it turned out to be a all-encompassing class, which is really good because, as you said, more and more women are concerned that they're going to fracture a bone. And the statistics bear that out, that over the age of 50, there's a 50% chance that you'll be diagnosed with low bone mass in the United States. So we talk all about the statistics on that. Other statistics say that 1 in 2 women and up to 1 in 4 men will break a bone due to osteoporosis at some point in their life. And for women, and this is a statistic from the Osteoporosis Foundation, the incidence of breaking a bone is greater than having a heart attack, a stroke, and breast cancer combined. So that the bone health risk is really, really high. And it's not because our bones have low bone mass. That is one of the big misconceptions that we point out in the class. So in our bone class, it's called Age with Strong Bones. There are 5 educational lessons in there. And then we have some bonus cooking demos. I did a cooking demo on dairy substitutes, and Eileen did exercise videos for people that want to prevent osteoporosis and people that already have it. So lesson 1 is called Bone Design and Function, and that's where we talk about how incredibly strong our bones are, even though they're lightweight, and how important they are. We don't realize the importance of our bones, from supporting our organs to our posture to how they work with our muscles so that we can move even and function. And
Yeah.
then we talk about bone remodeling, how our bones break down and rebuild constantly. And it's a process that's triggered by so many different mechanisms. It's really incredible how we are designed. And even how bones, our white blood cells and our red blood cells are formed in the marrow of our bones. And we talk about that, how important that is. And then we also talk about not only the bone remodeling, but things about vitamin K. Eileen points out that there's 2 types of vitamin K and how that affects our bones, because we do hear about vitamin K in bone health. We talk a lot about calcium and minerals, and in our country, we tend to focus on calcium all the time, but there's like 12 other minerals that our bones need: boron and phosphorus and magnesium. I mean, there's all sorts of things that our bones need, and we go into each of those and what foods are great sources of those. And we talk about potassium as well, because everybody, thinks about, oh, well, I'm going to eat a banana for potassium. And we talk more about potassium and what other functions that does in our body, which people are going to be surprised to learn. And we talk about the source of calcium, right? Calcium is a mineral in the earth that is absorbed by plants, and animals and humans are getting their calcium from plants. Even the largest plant-eating animals like elephants and hippos and rhinos all are getting enough calcium to support those massive skeletons that they have. And then I always ask people, can you guess what other large animal gets its calcium from plants? Cows.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Cows do not produce calcium, nor do they inherently have calcium in their milk, which I think people believe that cows produce calcium. They don't. They have calcium in their milk because they're eating plants. And so there's about 2 pounds of calcium in our body, and 99% of that is stored in our skeleton. And then
I just wanted
Eileen,
to say
uh,
also that I always say that we're the only species, humans are the only species that nurses from another species.
mhm,
And it's
yeah,
not only unnecessary, it doesn't work for us.
right.
You know,
And it's not healthy.
you don't see the pig nursing the cow, right?
No, and if someone were to serve us dog milk, we'd be horrified, but yet we're willing to drink cow milk. There's just a big disconnect all around when it comes to milk.
Definitely. It's not really thought about, but when it is, people, I've said to my kids growing up, I would make a scene for them. And I'd say, if we were driving and we were passing a farm and you saw a cow out in the pasture and you also saw an orchard with an apple tree, would it be your intuition to go and suck on the cow's udder, or would you go and grab an apple? So I ask my kids, what do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah. And then you and I have already talked about the growth hormones and all the trouble with dairy and all of that. And then, so in the course too, we talk about how much calcium we actually need to prevent osteoporosis. It's way less than, it's way less than 1200 milligrams, which is what we're usually advised to do. And how we don't really have a calcium deficiency problem. We have a calcium drainage problem because we're eating all this animal protein and foods that are high in dietary acids like sulfuric acid and phosphoric acid. And when we take in too much acid, our body has to buffer that, right? We have to keep our pH level neutral between acidity and alkalinity, and the body will die if it goes too far either way. So your body is always striving to remain pH neutral. And when we're eating all those acids, acidic foods, the body has to buffer that. And it does so by taking calcium directly from our bones to buffer all that acidity. And we talk about that. It's called, many doctors refer to it as peeing away your bones because as all that calcium is being leached from our skeleton and then processed through our body and urinated out, so they call it peeing away your bones, which is something to think about. And
Yeah.
then we talk about calcium supplements too. And just like you, Karen, we're not telling people what to do. We're going to present the research and encourage you to look into it for yourself and decide what you want to do to make the best decision for you. So we talk about hypercalcemia. That's where there's too much calcium in our blood. And the heart troubles, when you have too much calcium, there's a lot of health risks involved with that.
And
And we
taking a
talk,
calcium supplement is not always as absorbable as getting it directly from food.
right, it's much more absorbable in food. Diet. All these studies about too much calcium, none of it's about dietary calcium. It's all about excess calcium from supplements
From
and
supplements.
fortified, other things.
Yeah,
And then we
that's
talk about vitamin D. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm
Oh.
interested in hearing. Vitamin D.
We talk about the hormone, vitamin D, which is a hormone actually, and how our bodies produce it from sunlight. And we talk about if sunscreen actually negates our body's ability to make vitamin D. We cover the studies on that. And then, and this is in my opinion, this is the best lesson in the course is the one Eileen presents on the common testing and treatment today for low bone density. And she talks about DEXA scans, and there's two types of DEXA scans out there, and are they even reliable? We talk about how reliable they are and how you're going to be put into a category. First of all, the definition of osteoporosis and how that came about would astound many people. It wasn't some scientific thing. It was, but the the bone drugs on the market today are not as effective as what you see on the commercials where they're all dancing around and doing a musical around the bone drugs, which kind of irritates the heck out of me. I saw a commercial just yesterday for Envity, what's it called? Enivita. I've got it written down here. Evenity, it's a bone drug. So there's Fosamax and Octanel and Boniva. There's many bone drugs on the market, and they all fit into one of three type of categories. They each work in a different way. There's three different ways they can work, and we talk about that in the class. But they come along with a lot of side effects, and the reports are from the scientists, which are paid before by the drug company typically, are reporting the values in relative terms, not absolute terms. So I give the example, if 100 people are taking a placebo and 2 people have a bone issue, and then 100 people are taking the drug and one person has a bone issue, that's 1%, right? 2% minus 1% would be 1%. That's absolute terms, but in relative terms, 2 divided by 1 is 50%. So they'll say reduces the risk of fracture by 50%, but when reality it's 1%. So we talk about that, how misleading that can be. And even in that Evenity commercial, they said reduces bone risk by 77%. That is not true, and the statistics are right on their websites, so it's not like you have to go too far to find out the actual,
Yeah.
um, absolute risk.
Sometimes people only listen to marketing and the
Mhm.
news, if it's
Yeah,
on the news, but they don't look behind the study to see. So they
right.
just blindly go out and get the drug and not realize these things. So that's wonderful that that course is going to be in the bundle. There's so
Yeah.
many different programs in the bundle that are just really, people don't realize what they're getting for just $49.
Yeah, over $8,000 worth of products and over I think it's close to 150 products now, if not more. It's very close to 150 different courses. In fact, Dr. McDougall has a whole course on gut health. I mean, there's some really good things in there.
Yeah.
Ebooks,
Mhm.
what lab tests you should get if you're plant-based, different
Exact-
types of even like how to be organized in under 5 minutes. There's things in there that pop up like, oh, that's in
There's
the.
an entire yoga training course in there,
Hmm. And
you know.
tons of recipes. I mean, tons. Even your book has some recipes in it, doesn't it,
Yes,
Karen?
I've got recipes. I've got like
Yeah.
20 recipes in there. So you can even get an educational book, like my book is about healing your acne quickly, healing your skin issues, and also gives you the food to do it with, the best foods that I ate, that I felt had that contributed to my skin healing, with recipes. You can also there's so many books on not only plant-based, but raw food recipes, uh,
Hmm.
and so many different people in the vegan and raw food community, vegan doctors,
Hmm.
along with educators and fitness experts,
Yeah.
yoga teachers. It's just a really dynamic, it's one of the, if not the biggest and best bundles I've seen so far, with
Yeah.
contributors than any other bundle. It's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah. And it releases again March 1st through March 10th is the only time you can buy it. So click the link that you see below this video to go check it out and purchase it while you're thinking about it because if you put it off, it could be gone, March 10th is the last day of it.
Yeah. And Cyd, I cannot tell you how many people, they contact me in the morning of the day after, and they say,
Uh-huh.
Karen, I must have had 12 people at the last
Mhm.
one last year contacting me the day after. Can I still get it? I was like, no, you'll have
Yeah.
to wait until next year and see what comes out next year.
Yeah.
But, so
Yeah.
if we're really telling you about, we're basically telling you what we have in there. I have my Healing Acne book, which is now a physical book also, Bye Bye Acne. And Cyd has this wonderful course. So there's not only ebooks, but there's courses. This is a very
Yeah.
complete course about bone health that so many people are completely unaware of. I would
Mhm.
say so many people are completely unaware of how to heal their skin.
Mhm.
So these
Yeah.
right there are worth way more than
Yeah.
$40. So I would say this is really like a no-brainer. So
Yeah.
definitely do click on the link below.
I'll just give a shout out too. I've got two other things in the bundle. One is the Scrumptious Burgers and More cooking class that I did with Vicky Brett Gock and Chef Val. That was a live class that we did back in May with a cookbook with 20 different recipes for. I made an Italian pizza burger, and there's a Southwest burger with chili sauce and fajita burgers and
Ooh,
all sorts of things like that. And then my ebook too is in the bundle too. It's called The Plan A Diet, combining whole food plant-based nutrition with the timeless wisdom of scripture. And that ebook is in the bundle as well.
beautiful, beautiful,
Yeah.
fantastic. That is so great.
Are you going to the NHA conference again this year, Karen?
Oh, I so much wanted to go, but I can't go this year because my daughter is having a third baby. It's
Oh,
just
well, you've got a
wild.
good reason then.
Yeah, or else I would be there. I loved it last year. I just loved all the people who I met, and I loved the conference itself. It's a wonderful, wonderful conference. And that also leads me in to just wanting to put out a little something about the SCA, which is a new organization. It's a group of people who have come together on whole food, plant-based, healthy eating. And there's nutritionists and even medical doctors. Dr. Joel Furman is part of this group. Cyd is part of this group. I'm part of this group. Meryl Fury, who is also part of the Vegan Bundle, is the organizer of this group. And we are promoting a compassionate lifestyle focused on whole food, plant-based living, really whole foods, no processed foods, no oil, no salt, no sugar, and delicious, and totally delicious, and spreading this message. And we have speakers who are going to be going out and doing talks, and it is our mission to spread the whole foods plant-based message worldwide.
Mhm. Absolutely. That's the Sage Circle Alliance.
Sage
Yeah.
Circle
Yeah.
Alliance. Yes.
Yeah. But
And,
as we end here, just a reminder that the bundle, if you want to get the bundle with all the products we've been talking about, including from Meryl Fury, who's leading the Sage Circle Alliance, I think you and her have in common the passion for children, don't you, Karen? She
yes,
mentioned that to
yes.
me, the passion for children's health, which I really admire because our kids, oh my gosh, they're
Our
being
kids
raised. Yeah,
today are
yeah,
so, so sick.
yeah,
And it's really important that we change the diet and the
yeah.
lifestyle. And so, yes, Meryl and I, we actually did a talk recently, and she has it up on YouTube. We
Okay.
did a talk. It was about the bundle. It was also about my skin book and what she's doing. But we also talked a bit about kids, and we'll probably be doing another talk about children's health. And I think there are some books on raising healthy vegan kids in there. I don't
Yeah.
have mine in there this time, but there
Mhm.
are books on raising healthy vegan kids.
Yeah, in the bundle. Yeah,
The
Dr.
rest,
Nikki Davis did one where she's cooking with her 10-year-old, vegan kids can cook. She did a course on that. So thank you for doing that because it's so important for focusing on the kids' health. It just
oh
so
yes,
sad to see the condition that they're in and being led down food addiction paths at such an early age, and that's
yeah.
going to really be a problem later.
I learned this
Yeah.
very early on when I was raising my kids vegan and then whole foods vegan and raw, and saw so much great health in them. My
Mm,
son healed his asthma and chronic ear infections. My daughter was getting strep throat and the flu every year, and this all changed when we
mm,
changed our diet. So I saw
mhm,
clearly that kids don't need to have these so-called normal illnesses. They are not
mhm.
normal childhood illnesses. You can actually have very healthy kids.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah. And Cyd, do you have a website?
I do. It's cydnotter.com, just like my name is spelled there, CYDNOTTER.com. And how about you, Karen? What is your website?
Yes, so I have two websites. One of my websites is the house of my course, the Vegan Coach Certification, which has been running since 2015, and also private coaching with me. And that site is feelfabulouswithfood.com. And my site for children, raising healthy vegan kids, is superhealthychildren.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching us today and get your bundle while you're thinking about it. The links are right below this video and we hope to see you there. And
Yes.
we hope you'll keep in touch with us as well.
And also $49 for over $7,000 of
Eight.
ebooks. courses, and programs. You will not go wrong.
Yeah, 8,000.
8,000.
Yeah,
Oh my,
it's over 8,000 now. Yes. So what, I don't know what percentage that would be. That'd be a huge discount, right? To get
oh my
$8,000 worth of
goodness.
something for 49.
Incredible. Incredible. Yes.
Well, thanks so much, Karen. It's been fun to talk with you today.
It's been so much fun talking with you as well, Cyd. Thank you
Take
so much.
care.
Bye.